bunch of drama queens.
It's showtime!
White Day, a Labyrinth named school, is a first-person horror game from Korea. It originally was released in 2001 on the PlayStation 2, but now in 2017 it's finally been re-released and updated for the PlayStation 4.
It has a pretty odd name based on a Japanese tradition that I think is worth explaining. If you received a chocolate on the more known Valentine's Day from your crush, then it is expected that on White Day you return the favour to that said crush, and now you know. Hey.
This isn't the first time White Day has been re-released. It was remade for mobiles back in 2015 by ROI, and this mobile version replaced all the 3D elements with 2D images.
P-Cube Limited then went on to finally handle the ports for Windows and to the PS4 for 2017, so it's been a long wait, but it's finally here.
The first thing you will visually notice about the PS4 version is it is indeed like a PS2 game, with a boatload of polish chucked on it. So it's not the best if visually stunning is something you look for in your next-gen titles. However, it is crisp and clean. But realism isn't strived for here, so don't expect Resi 7 level of style. Nevertheless, White Day is so much more than looks.
At its core, this survival horror's basic plot puts you in the shoes of schoolboy He-Man Lee, and he's come to give the girly fancies some chocky delights. You enter the Yondu High School that used to be a hospital during the war, so no chance of it being haunted then. Obviously, this place is as haunted as Freddy Krueger's boiler room.
You are tasked with wandering around and figuring out how to give your girl some sweets. Okay, so the plot doesn't currently sound super riveting, but you aren't really here for that, are you? You're here to get scared.
Well, we can confirm that White Day does a great job of creating that creepy oriental atmosphere.
The gameplay is fairly structured to begin with, and if you put it on easy, which we totally didn't do, then there are less jump scares and the game throws some helpful hints at you via your Speed 007 flip phone. Look at that! I haven't seen one of those in like forever! Start the game on normal, however, and you'll get more jump scares. The puzzles are a little harder and you get no hints. None. At all. So if you are super new to the survival horror like this, maybe start it on easy first, just to learn the ropes.
You bump into these two girls pretty early on, and it's here that you make a couple of dialogue choices. One is usually more reserved and the other more direct. The dialogue choices you make shapes the story later on.
It can also determine which ending you get out of 8, and also which girl you will end up escaping with. Sort of a horror dating sim, maybe? Maybe not.
You can pick up notes that give you clues as to what you are supposed to be doing, and a lot of your time in the early stages will be spent trying to find keys to get into the rooms that are locked around the school. This game really doesn't hold your hand, so a lot of your gaming knowledge will be put to the test.
The way it's all laid out is like an early Outlast, but with much more class. School bun. The puzzles are the main thing that set it apart here. Some of them are really well thought out, like this puzzle with a safe. To learn the combination, you have to find a note with some years written on it. Then through exploration, you find a locker with years and medals hanging from them. This then allows you to figure out the combination. It's this kind of puzzle crafting that takes me back to the early days of Silent Hill or Resident Evil, and here at MOG, we love that.
There are no weapons in the game, so you have to move around stealthily. It's certainly not as stealth-focused as Outlast. Sometimes it appears scripted, such as when the janitor makes an appearance. And there are some parts of the game where you have a certain time limit to complete a task, so the janitor won't show up to disturb you.
But when he does, he will chase you down relentlessly, blowing his whistle to let you know that he's coming.
You have to try your best to lose him as quick as possible and hide in the dark.
And if he catches you, well, he's going to give you a beatdown that you'll never forget. Seriously, Oriental janitors are nuts.
As well as the janitor in this school, there are ghosts. Yes, this was a war hospital after all, so there are some nasties lurking around in certain areas.
These apparitions usually come at random, and they do a great job of scaring the chiffon out of you. It's a simple jump scare, but when you're immersed in the creepiness of the school, it always gets you. Damn jump scares.
The janitor really is your biggest worry. But don't worry if you do take a couple of hits, because you can always visit the school vending machines. These dispense items when you put in coins found around the school. You can also find healing items dotted about in the lockers and in all the usual places you would find milk coffee. Is that like an Oriental latte?
Anyway, there are also inventory items like a lighter and a flashlight that will help you look around, as you can't pick up things if it's too dark to see.
I can't hear a thing, mate. Can you turn it up a bit?
It says it.
It's too dark to see anything. I can read subtitles, Jay. Use your lighter.
Ah.
Typically though, using these items can attract the janitor, and that goes for making too much noise too. Although not as intuitive as Alien Isolation for noise, it still puts you on edge if you're running too much. Now the janitor is probably the worst part of this experience. He seemingly has superpowers of being able to detect you, even on easy.
It's the one thing I found myself getting really wound up about. You're in small, tight corridors, so the chances of being spotted are really high, and when you are spotted, well...
The amount of times I ran like a bat out of hell into a dark classroom, ducked and stayed quiet only to have this guy still find me instantly was rage-inducing. And if you are backed into a corner, you can't push your way past him, so you just have to sit there and accept your fate. However, one of the effective ways we found to get rid of him was to run through open doors and quickly close them as you go, but trying to open the doors is a task in itself.
You have to be looking at the handles or at a certain place at the door. It's hard enough to run away as it is without the simple task of opening a door becoming an act of precision.
So the janitor will be a pain, and even on the easier setting, the guy is a nightmare. And then when you least expect it, you'll get had again by another jump scare.
White Day is a Korean game of cat and mouse, and on the harder settings, the fear can dissipate into more annoyance than anything, which is a shame as it saps away from the game's well-made spooky atmosphere.
As well as avoiding janitors, you can also pick up these collectible items. It's not immediately obvious what they do, but if collected they can reveal some of the school's secrets and different ghost stories down the line. The game heavily relies on information found in notes to fill in story gaps, so be sure to read these when you can to get the most out of the experience.
Overall, White Day feels and plays like a retro horror game. With little to no explanation at times, it can feel rather cryptic. You can sometimes get stuck by overthinking the more simple puzzles, and take note, whilst trying to solve these, you can still get disturbed by the janitor.
Over time we discovered these irritating puzzles are as much a part of White Day as the eerie horror, giving this a 7 out of 10.
White Day does a decent job of putting the willies up you, but as time goes on, the janitor may make you want to put the game down, and not out of fear. The puzzles are well thought up and the sound effects are great.
I'd still say there are some better horror experiences out there, but I will say it is a welcome addition to the PS4. If you love tough as nails vintage horror games, then this one certainly does the job at giving you a trip down memory lane.
Just realised I left that SD card at the office with all the footage for next week's show.
Okay, but you can't go now. I mean, it's late. It's after 9. You know what the janitor gets like after it gets dark.
What's he gonna do? Brush me to death?
got to the end of the video. I know, it's sad, but don't worry, there's lots more content on the channel everywhere. Click over here, or just go to our channel and peruse. There's so much stuff. We put everything into neat little playlists that are all labeled with beautiful titles. Spend hours doing it, so you can find stuff.